Now we're going to look at life during the New Deal. The main idea is that the Great Depression and the New Deal had a deep impact on American culture during the 1930s. Our learning objectives are to explain how the public roles of women and African Americans changed during the New Deal, to describe how artists and writers of the era told the story of the Great Depression, and to identify the forms of popular entertainment during the Great Depression. So first of all, we'll look at the new roles for women. Roosevelt promoted and recognized women. Frances Perkins, the Secretary of Labor, was the first woman to head an executive office. Ruth Bryan Owen served as minister to Denmark. Roosevelt appointed women to such posts as Director of the U.S. Mint and Assistant Secretary of the Treasury. Women served as the leaders in several New Deal agencies. Still, women faced challenges and discrimination, including lower wages, less opportunities, and hostility in the workplace. Roosevelt's administration also appointed many African Americans. William Hastie became the first black federal judge. A group of African Americans hired to fill government posts were known as the Black Cabinet, and they served as unofficial advisors to the president. The Black Cabinet met under the leadership of Mary McLeod Bethune, the Director of Negro Affairs in the National Youth Administration. Still, African Americans continued to face many tremendous hardships during the 1930s, including severe discrimination. Thousands of African American sharecroppers and tenant farmers were not helped by New Deal programs. Southern Democrats in Congress opposed efforts to aid African Americans, and many African Americans switched their loyalty from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party during the 1930s. So this was a very significant period. Keep in mind, the Republican Party initially was formed as the abolitionist party. It was the party that was founded around that sole issue of trying to abolish slavery. So they had pretty strong African American support. But it was here during the 1930s that we began to see this shift, where African Americans as a voting bloc began to shift their loyalty to the Democratic Party under Roosevelt. Now, looking at the art of the Great Depression, painters and sculptors fashioned works depicting the struggles of the working class. Authors and playwrights focused on the plight of the rural and urban poor. Writer John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath and songwriter Woody Guthrie celebrated the lives of ordinary people. Writer James Agee's Let Us Now Praise Famous Men. All of these were examples. As far as photographers, Dorothea Lange recorded the images of jobless people and the rural poor, and Walker Evans depicted the lives of sharecroppers in the lower South. Dorothea Lange, of course, as we mentioned before, was a celebrated chronicler of the Great Depression. She recorded images of jobless people in her hometown of San Francisco. Lange worked for the Farm Security Administration. She was hired to document the plight of the poor, and through her images, gained support for New Deal programs. Lange's photographs of the rural poor helped to raise awareness about the poorest of the poor, sharecroppers and tenant farmers. In 1937, the federal government finally began to provide help for sharecroppers and tenant farmers. Now looking at the popular entertainment of the Great Depression. Movies. Millions of Americans went to the movies each week. Most films were upbeat and allowed viewers to escape the Depression. Grand musicals and comedies were popular. Animation and color photography delighted audiences. As far as the radio, it provided politics, religion, music, sports, and other forms of entertainment. It introduced new music styles such as jazz and swing. Action shows such as The Lone Ranger and comedies such as Fibber McGee and Mully were popular. As far as sports, interest in sports remained strong during the 1930s. Baseball was popular, and some of the big stars, of course, were Babe Ruth and Joe DiMaggio, and boxing was hugely popular as well. Most notable star there was Joe Louis.